Yes, yes, we are live, guys. How are we all doing? We are live. Right, tonight we're gonna get straight into business tonight. Not too much chatting at the start like I normally tend to do. Tonight we've got to get going. We've got 2 hours ish. We'll see how it all sort of pans out. Just to really focus on something that typically a lot of music producers would spend an awful lot more time than 2 hours, but we can definitely really tap into some of the problems, and I think this is one of the biggest issues that music producers face in music production in general. Most of us, once we've been working on music for a little while anyway, we can get a good 16 bar, 32 bar little idea going, find a good sample, get some good drums down. But once we start trying to get that out into a full record, that magic kind of dissipates a little bit. I don't know if anyone else ever kind of feels that happens to them. You start work on a record, you're really excited by it, you're cooking with it, everything's working really nicely. But somewhere within that kind of week of work, right, it loses its kind of footing. It's like, I can't tell if I'm just bored of this, or like, just as the breakdowns aren't quite hitting in the way you would imagine them to hit, and all that kind of stuff happens to us, right? We all experience that. I think I know where a lot of that kind of thinking and problem comes from. So tonight, what I want to do is, rather than do our typical A&R, I'm going to try and balance these. I want to do this a little bit more often, where sometimes I come in and do something like this. Now, the reality of this is, I'll be honest with you, is on Thursday, I came up with this little idea you can see here. I posted this on my Instagram on, I think it was Thursday. I've been itching to get back to this project since then. I was held on Friday. I did other work. I was like, I'm not going to touch it. Let's do this as a live. So I've been pumped all day. Literally, secretly cannot wait to get in tonight, just because I really actually straight up want to work on this record. I think there's something cool about this. I think there's a lot of stuff we can talk about. Now, just for clarity, where this project was, where you saw it on my Instagram, if you did see it, if you any keen-eyed out there will be like, that looks a little bit different, Ben. There was more going. I swear it was like a whole arrangement. Now, this idea has been one of those Frankenstein-y sort of projects, and I hate it when this happens with a project. But this is the very quick storyline to what happened here. So soon I've got a record out on Toolroom. The demo that went to Toolroom was a 2-track demo. The clear, strong record on that demo was the record that Toolroom took. The second one, which I really like the drums, but I got caught up and I found this sample and I looped up this sample, but I was like, I think I just got a bit carried away with the sample. I'm not 100% about this. I can't tell anymore. I've worked on the record for 20 hours. I don't know what up and down, right and wrong is anymore. So I'm not sure. I'm just going to send it as the secondary. The guys gave me feedback of like, yeah, like the vocal's not quite, the sample's just not quite like peak. We know you can make records that are more peak than this, as far as like, just like, that's a cool sample. And I was like, I knew that, didn't I? I knew that. And they sort of said, oh, maybe, because they manage a couple other labels, maybe this label, maybe that label. And I was like, I don't quite think, I won't name names, but I was like, I don't quite think that's where I see sort of my music going and that kind of thing. So it's cool. I'll take it back. Because I really like the drums, and then I've had it in my head for a little while now to get back to this. As you can see at the top on the actual file name of it, you can see that it's called TDS, which is the demo strategy, which is my course. So this, the original version of this song is something I was making in the course, and I think it was song idea number 3. It says it is there. It doesn't feel like it by memory, but it says it is there. And this is the remake, Keep the Fires Burning. So what I did is I just basically deleted everything and just switched up the sample. Just went and found a cool sample, which is what everyone saw on my Instagram, I think on Thursday. And I just came in 10 minutes before starting and was like, let's just fucking gut this right out. So it is, because this is something that I really wanted to do. I was just like, I won't bore the guys on a live stream deleting, tidying a project up, vibey beginning to a live stream, that would be. So I just jumped in and went, right, let's just like delete everything. So we've got like 16 bars before, a little breakdown idea, a little groove section. And then this section here is just because I want to practice and figure out how it's going to work, being like main hook, and then what happens after the main hook goes. What's it like? How do you get, like, you'll see, we'll listen to it now. I won't start getting into the problems until we've all heard it, actually. I'll stop myself and kind of come back to the intro very briefly. So that's basically what we're doing, right? So we're looking at a record that started off being a completely different song. And I don't know if any of you have ever done this. I'm sure some of you have felt it. I certainly have. Do let me know if you can hear me all good in chat and everything as well, guys. Just let me know it's all... Because it's really hard to tell when you're live streaming on your own. It's only the 6th one as well. We're only on live stream number 6, so we're still babies at this. We're still learning. So yeah, let me know that you can hear me loud and clear by the meters you all can. But yeah, do let me know on stream just so I know I'm not shouting into the void. Joe, good to see you, man. Edgar, how you doing, mate? Chris, good to see you. Ree, how you doing, man? Alan, nice to see you again, dude. Jano, how you doing, man? You good, Jan? Wicked, wicked, wicked. Yeah, awesome. Right, so that's the setup. That is the setup. I'm going to have to turn a fan on in here because it's still way too hot in this studio. I've still got this cough, as you can tell. So what we're doing is we're working on this record. Thank you for letting me know, Ree. We're going to work on this record. What I want to run through tonight, what I really want to kind of look at is how all of us end up in this position, even when we've got an idea we're cooking with, even when we've got something, right? This is like an emotional thing. All of us music producers face these kind of things. So this is less about like, here's a trick, here's how EQ a fucking kick drum and all the boring shit you see on like YouTube forever, you know, it's just the same old stuff, music production. What I really want to focus on tonight is more kind of problem solving and how to understand, like, how do we not ruin a good idea? How do we get that to being a full song without losing the magic? Now, I think this comes down to a couple of different things. All of these are easily arguable, by the way, and do let me know in the comments if you've found a different approach, if you've had a record that went completely against everything I was about to say and ended up being your best record ever. I love to know this stuff because there isn't really a right or wrong. But in my personal experience, what I've found over the years is music that's made faster tends to be the most exciting sounding to other people. It's a weird thing to sentence. So when you make something quick, it's lightning in a bottle. Oh, it just came out like that. I find it, for me, my audience, the labels, the DJs, you know, people that you send it to, they just pick up on it way quicker. There's something more instantaneous. It's like that magic of like the excitement of it somehow was encapsulated into that quick 6-hour studio session, and it just somehow lives in there and doesn't get burnt out, which is kind of a bit esoteric, I suppose. It's a bit out there because obviously the energy of a music producer in the studio isn't baked into an MP3 that gets sent out on SoundCloud. Let's be real. But there is something to the process that makes that song more exciting. Most records that I slave over, like really, really over and over and over and over again for weeks and weeks and weeks on end, months on end sometimes, right? We've all done it. We all do this obsessive, like, it's got to be perfect, it's got to be perfect, it's got to be perfect. Those records, like, yeah, they end up coming out and they're polished and it's like correct. And like, yeah, you're happy with it. You think you're so sick of the song. You know, there's lots of anecdotal things where there's these massive records, and then the producers that have made them, they're DJs as well, and everyone's like wants them to play that record, and they're like, I just don't want to ever hear that song ever again. It took me 3 months to get that right, and I hate it. It's like I've heard that quite a lot over the years from big DJs and artists. So these slower records that they just, for me, they don't ever connect quite as well. Like even ones that I've had to actually get signed to like decent labels like Toolroom and stuff, but when they come out, they just don't seem to grab people in the same way. And there's something that Mark Knight, who owns Toolroom, who has been one of my mentors over the years, to be real with you, he's got some amazing advice. Just quick bits of advice sometimes when you chat to him, he'll just throw something out at you because he's been very successful for many, many years. So it's just this learnt life thing. And he always sort of says, it's just like, yeah, the best records are made quick. Like you can really, really polish a record and it sounds great and everything, but they never like hit right compared to these like manic, fastly made, oh, it's a bit rough around the edges, but somehow just hits. And I agreed with him at the time, and you know, what is now probably 10 years later, I massively agree with him on that. It's something I really, really find. So what I want to try and do tonight is teach you all how to do that, how to not get stuck in a loop. How to not I wonder if I did this, or I just don't know what to do next, and maybe I've got to start scrolling through Splice for the right crash. These things we do that just take up huge amounts of our creative time. They dig in to our creative kind of backup that we've got. Like, there's only so much creativity in you each day, almost, it feels like sometimes. And I think we take that creativity and we put it on this platform of like expectation, which dries up the creativity a little bit in its own right. And within that platform, we then know, we're like, oh, I need to have better sound. Oh, I need a good bass line. I need to go look for this. I need to go look for that, right? And that takes up time and it dries up all that creativity. And I think what can happen is we do that. The idea was great. It starts slipping, and that emotional slip can throw us off. And sometimes we can never get back to the record as it's meant to be. Like, it's for me, that's something that happens quite a bit. And from working with hundreds of thousands of artists at this point, it's something that I've heard quite a lot. So tonight, this is what we're going to do. And this is going to be a fun live stream. So the way I want to do these live streams is because I want to put more stuff on YouTube as well. But A, I don't really have time, but B, the world's full of polished 15-minute music production YouTube videos. I don't know if we need another YouTuber out there that's just doing polished music production on Ableton videos. Like, I just don't, I don't know if I need it. Like, I always think when I do these stuff, I'm like, what do I need? Like, would I do this? Do I need, do I go and watch these videos? I mean, I don't personally, but what I would like to sit down and, I'd love to sit down and watch like an artist that I think's really good, just work on a record for like, not like, oh, can I make a banger in 10 minutes? I don't care about any of that stuff. I'd love to see someone really go through the process for just like 2 hours. Even if it took them 2 hours of getting stuff wrong, I'll be more interested in seeing someone sit down and just honestly, with no prep, no practice, straight up, no practice tonight at all. I have no idea how this is coming out. I think all of us, including myself, learn a lot more about just experiencing that and kind of going through that sort of stuff, right? So let's do a little sound check. What's the meters looking like? It should all be cool. You guys hearing that on stream okay? I know you're about 30 seconds behind me, so let me tell you what I will do is I'll put the stream up on my phone so I can keep an eye, make sure it's actually running. Yeah, there I am, talking 30 seconds ago. Okay, also, it's a late evening session, so cheers. Nice little cool beer. We used to call that a Super Sunday when I was young. A beer on a Sunday, a Super Sunday. We'll do a Super Sunday session tonight. Yeah, you're hearing that on there? Good. Right, awesome. Right, this I'm going to don the headphones tonight. I'm going to go with the old LCDs, but I might flip between the LCDs and the old Bear Dynamics, because I just, 770 Pros, 100 quid headphones, Bear Dynamics. You'll see them in the background of all like BBC programs and stuff like that. They're just an industry workhorse. And when I got a record deal with Toolroom, that's all I owned. I didn't own a pair of speakers, straight up. Right, so let's have a listen. Let's just listen to it through, and then we'll start figuring out what the fuck's going on, yeah? Yeah, there's timing issues. There's nowhere near enough low end in the bass line. That's for sure. I actually made this on these little mix cubes. So I had no bass. I didn't even put headphones on that day. I made this little idea took 3 hours, I think, including finding the sample and everything. So it's like raw dog, you know what I mean? It's what these things should be. They shouldn't be polished. Like, people need to know that records don't sound like really good when you're in the throes of making a record, man. Like, it comes later a lot of times. So obvious things. I think it's the perk, mate. Nate noticed straight away, our in-house sample resident. He is one of my demo strategy students, and just has, I've mentioned him a couple of times, but he has a really deep knowledge of classic records and sampling and that kind of thing. We work very closely together on the demo strategy course. He writes similar sort of stuff to me, actually. And I agree, yeah, I think I know what it is, mate, that's out of time. I think we're going to actually have to, I think that would be an interesting thing to do, although I wasn't expecting to do it, and it will take some time, but whatever, we're here for it. And yeah, the sample, we'll walk through this a little bit. I don't want to spend too long. I have a real bad habit, right, of doing these sort of things. Like when I do them live, not live on YouTube, like actually out in the real world and other bits and pieces I do, like lessons. I have a real bad habit being like, oh, I want to do it like this. I want to talk about these things. And then I end up getting trapped into one particular thing for like hours. Like it'll be like, I don't know, you can do it, right? It's music production. I mean, I think all of us do that. And it's actually the first little nugget of kind of knowledge I want to kind of pass on, which is when you write a sketch idea like this, you should bounce it out and listen to it at your phone speakers, at your laptop, at your TV, at your car, right? All the standards, right? Nothing new there. And just make some mental notes about what you think. So when you first come in, right, when you open your project up, you have been blessed, especially as it's been 3 days. I think it might be 4 days. I can't remember when I did this now. Was it Wednesday or Thursday? Let's say it's 3 days, right? Let's be charitable. It's 3 days away from this, and it was made in like 3 hours. So I've had that's got, you know, it's like a, what was it, like, you know, 3 hours, 3 days away from it. I would almost say I've got like good, what I call fresh ears. So there's a real thing in music where, like, when I say you trade like objectivity for creativity. You can't have both. So as you're creative and you spend creative time, you lose the ability to objectively hear your own music. You trade it. The only way to get that back, the objectivity, like just to be able to see it for what it is and not how you think, and I really like this vocal and whatever these emotional, because the journey of making a song pulls all this stuff out. This doesn't, no dancehall cares about any of that stuff, but we cannot avoid it. So you trade. So objectivity is vital for making decisions. Fresh ears, that kind of like instantaneous, like, oh yeah, it's just the bass is not loud enough. Oh yeah, like that drum looks a little bit out of time. Why did I not notice that when I was spending creative time? Because I'm wrapped up in a different mindset. I don't have fresh ears anymore. I don't hear it. Also, I was on small speakers, so couldn't hear the bass line anyway. But but it's valid, right? So what I've got a glimmer of right now, like that first listen through, is my only chance to get some objectivity. So I've got all my notes in my head from listening to it at my phone speakers. Perk was out at a time. I think something's out of time. I think it's the perk. And there's loads of problems to solve. Like the beginning of the breakdown's a bit boring. Like whatever. Right? This is like stuff that needs working out as a song. But like actual problems, it's only really the timing. And now I'm hearing it on decent headphones. I can hear the low end's not loud enough. So that's that first layer. And that's so important to look at straight away. So if you say, for instance, hypothetically, you listen to your thing, you're like, oh, the vocal's out of key. Don't come into your project and start working on something else, or start feeling like, oh, maybe I'll just like duplicate, or maybe I'll just loop up this bit, or maybe I'll just like try a different stab. You know there's a problem, focus it, like solve it, because what can happen is you'll start working on music, and you'll start working, and your trade, that objectivity that you had from hearing on your phone speakers with fresh ears, especially phones. I always use phone speakers, but laptop, car, TV, it doesn't matter. You're away from your studio, away from the screen. It's a different environment, a different way of thinking. It changes how you experience your song. The objectivity, the clarity, the creative clarity you get from that is worth gold, man. You'll probably make your best decisions there, not in the studio. You know, you can make an argument about that, but for me, it's massive. So if you then take that magical moment of like hearing it in that kind of way, and then you go like, fuck all that. Like, I'll just like do what I think now I've got headphones on. Remember, you traded your objectivity for creativity. Then you come in wanting to be creative, and you literally ignore the objectivity and go back into creativity. You lose any chance of solving the problem. And what you'll do is you'll forget about the problem, like the vocal being out of time, the vocal being out of key, the perk being out of time, blah, 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 all these billions of problems we could have with a record. You'll lose that because you'll just start listening again. Your brain is amazing at making things that are shit sound good, and good things sound shit. But definitely, which is a brutal truth, a lot of people think their records are better than they actually are, especially when they're in rough idea mode. And it's just because our brain just gets used to these things. The amount of artists I work with where I'm like, this is great, but the vocal's completely out of key. And they're like, is it? And I would come back like 2 days later, like, dude, yeah, it's completely out of key. Like, I've just sort of like stepped away from it now you've said it, and it's like, fucking hell, it's horrible. It's something happens when you just listen to stuff on loop where it kind of just like hypnotizes you into it. It just sounds like what it sounds like. Don't change anything. But it's wrong. It's a trick. So there's another thing. So you trade objectivity for creativity, but creativity, as magical and as lovely as it is, there's a dark side to it. It tricks you a little bit. It plays with you a little bit, toys with your emotions a little bit. It confuses you about right and wrong and what's working and what isn't because of that especially with the sort of music we all make, house music. It's that loop that you're always in. Okay, right. So what do we do first? What's the first move? This is important. What's the first thing we do? I think we focus what we all heard, and Nat said it, but I'm sure you all heard it. I heard it, especially on these headphones. I really noticed it. Something's out of time with the drums, right? Let's go back in now. Let's let's mute the sample. Let's mute the vocal. We'll come back in and look at the sample and like kind of what I've done with it. And there's still more things I want to try and do tonight as well. So we'll get to that. Let's fix some of these problems before we get wrapped up in the sample, right? Because it will, you know, we'll take ourselves away from something that needs fixing. If you have an instinct about what's wrong, don't try and fix it before you mute it first. Like, mute it. What's everything like without it? It's obviously that loop. It's like so obvious. When you turn it off and on like that, it's like, oh my God, how did I have this in my record? It sounds like there's a delay on it or something, right? It sounds completely fucked. Let's have a listen. Let's turn some of these plugins off, right? Let's bring it back to clarity, right? Let's bring it back to kind of just simple. It's a bit different. Let's put it in the mix. We'll need to turn this up now because of the way I've processed this, but. Doesn't sound as chalked. Interesting. I wonder what's happened here. What's this doing? Well, that can't be doing anything wrong. This can't really be doing anything wrong. We'll have a little look at what I've done there. Multi-saturation just to bring out the mids, being a perk loop. I do have this little spicy devil. I wonder if this is creating something that I wasn't noticing out of small speakers. What I'm using here is I'm using the resampled mode, and I was just toying around with this, right? Listening to it, and I put it right up here, and I was putting it off and on, and I was like, there's something about that I really like, and I wonder actually in the stereo imaging if it's playing tricks with I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure it out. We'll do it together, right? So LFO on. I mean, this can't be doing anything wrong other than getting the transient of the clap that's within this loop away from my clap. It's like it's getting all the stuff away. I wonder if the pumping of it being like that feels weird. Then it starts feeling, I know that's going to sound weird soloed, right? In context with all the other drum sounds sort of like around it, it won't feel as weird. This is Elefotal, by the way, if those of you that don't know, by the same company that made Serum. Look, I know there's loads of different ones nowadays. This is I've used Elefotal since I was quite young, man. Like in my 20s for sure. It's been, I think so anyway. It's been around a long time. As my memory's playing tricks on me, Ben, remember? I just like it. All right, it's one of those. I know there's like new ones and stuff, but like, I like Elefotal, man. That doesn't seem like it's creating any problems. Let's have a little look at what this guy's doing off and on. So what I'm doing here is turning the volume right down, right, the level of this low band. You can create these bands yourself, but if we want to, we could create another one here, look, right? We can just make them as we want to, right? So I'm getting rid of any... Yeah, getting rid of the kick that's in the original sample there. 10 points if anyone knows where I've sampled that from. 10 points. A little tiny touch of drive, little tiny touch of drive, and I'm just bringing up these lower kind of mid-lows, just to get that body out of that perk, which suits my kick drum. We'll go off and on. I did even try completely taking out the tops. As you could hear there, right, it felt very, very dull, and it kind of ruined everything. Shaper box, yeah, I've got it. Well, have I still got it? Yeah, kick as well. There's a bunch of them. Like, yeah, I've heard a lot of people massively rate shaper box. I've just Elefotal ride or die. Do you know what I mean? It's just, you can't go back on that bad boy at this point. If you actually look as well at the transients in here, it doesn't look loosey-goosey, does it? What about the kick, man? Like, use drum clone to make this kick from an LF system record. Sorry, guys. Yeah, from one of their tougher records. And I'm not going to get into, this is what I wanted to try and stay away from tonight, because we could get into just like break, we could, you know what I mean, it's 8:30 already. We could easily be here for an hour just going through all the plugins on everything on here. And I kind of want to stay away from that a bit and do a different session where we go through like plugins and stuff that I use. But yeah, just using drum clone, this thing, which you've seen, that if you go to my Instagram, you'll see me talk about it. I actually really rate it. I'm still, I've got thoughts, but not for today, right? Let's crack on. But that's where that comes from, using drum clone on a record that I sampled, got the kick out of it. Phenomenal kick. Played around with the pitch on it, which I probably still will play around with because I've not started looking at the low end on the record yet. Monoed it. Better safe than sorry. Bit of radiator, because me and Sound Toys have like a relationship together, not like a paid relationship. Just I love them so much. It's like a relationship. And then a little bit of boost. Do you know what I mean? Just little things that were just as you're tinkering, right? It doesn't matter. Nothing important. I want to hear this kick. What I'm thinking is the kind of start point wrong on it? This is where I got to. This is why I came to the kick, because I remember there being, yeah, like I remember doing this. Because if this is slightly wrong, it might be throwing the perk off to the kick, right? Let's do it like this. That sidechain does sound weird, doesn't it? Let's be honest. I don't like the transient of the kick on this, though. It is fucking with the transient on my kick. You can hear there's like a slight, like one of them's more at a time, and it's probably because of, it's when you sample old records or like funky records and stuff like that. Like the timing is sometimes a little bit loosey-goosey on the sample. It's also, I don't mind things feeling a little loose. I think we're tightening up from where it was. But what I want to do is start bringing in the neck, because it might not be the perk, it might be something else. I'll throw it out there that it's the perk, but it might not be. See, this is feeling a bit like loose, isn't it, on the timing, if you ask me. This is from a sample pack I've made for my demo strategy students. Like that. Look at that. What's happening there? Right, so this is the culprit. And is that, why is it like that? I'll tell you what, let's get that in audio. Let's get that tightened back up and we'll copy it back over. Right, so it's something to do with, look at that, look. That's not right at all, mate. Why has it started that sample like that? You can't fix that in MIDI, can you? If we consolidate that now, and then copy it back up and copy it into here, back into here. Why is that a different volume? Hopefully. I mean, I did do that quite quickly, didn't I? Maybe I should have spent a little bit more time finessing that. Let's do what? Find out, right? I'm actually going to chill this out what I was doing the other day. Now I'm on headphones. If you notice, I'm making the clap sound overly heavy. Hey, Kenny, how you doing, dude? Good to see you, mate. That feels better, doesn't it? That was a weird blend of me putting too much low end on multi-band saturation and one of the top loops, which does has a little kick floating around in the top loop, being slightly out of time by milliseconds. Was fucking with it. All right, good. Solved. I think solved, right? Unless we're losing the objectivity already. Maybe. To what I should have done. Good advice that I haven't done, but good advice is to take your MP3. Oh, did I export this before? And chuck an MP3 of where you were at the top, so you can just bounce back and make sure that what you're doing is actually improving. Because what you can do is we're sort of flying blind, aren't we? We're sort of flying by, like Ben said, that it's a bit out of time and the bass is, you know, we might lose that objectivity and the creativity. And having that MP3 there, I think, is almost like a little wormhole of traveling back in time and being like, oh yeah, that is what I thought. Yeah, this does sound better. Or like, no, I've actually chalked this. Like, I don't know what I've done to it, but it's worse. I've fixed the timing, but I've lost the vibe. So that way, at least you know, oh, I can backtrack a little bit now and realize that I need to find a better sweet spot. I know I've not done that tonight, but it's good advice, man. It's a good way to think sometimes, especially if you're a bit unsure, you know? Okay, so perk being a bit more locked in. Bass in the sample. Let's go over to when the whole thing's playing here. So this is a sample. I can only play a tiny bit of this because I've sampled an old record because I make house music. So there you go. And also, I suppose I should say, actually, just for like complete transparency, when I work on music like this and I'll do sampling, I will get stuff cleared. Like if I use this song and like a decent label picked it up, we would be getting it cleared. I wouldn't just be like trying to like put it out there. That's not what we do. Especially if it's someone like Toolroom, they will put a lot of time and effort into getting stuff cleared and all that kind of stuff. I've gone through it I've gone through it a few times with them. And that's really important to know. Like, I wouldn't just make something like this and like send it to a label and be like, hopefully no one notices, because that's just not how I roll. So yeah, but the thing is, right, with that is, I don't want to get into the chat of the legalities of sampling, because it's obviously a fucking, if you sample something, it's illegal if you don't pay them. It's that simple. But house music is made by sampling. It's like all of my favorite records from my favorite era, like the early 2000s, because of my age, like all of Armand van Helden's stuff and all of just everyone's stuff from back then. It's all sampled. It's all samples from old records. Like Daft Punk built a fucking giant career out of it. And they were like ridiculously like just nicking old sections of records together. It wasn't even just like one little loop and stuff. It was like whole 10-second sections from old records and that. And they've written some of the most fantastic music of our generation. So sampling is something that you just basically need to not be a dick about it, but don't let like the end legalities stop your creativity. Like I'll always fuck with stuff, and sometimes you do get a disappointing thing where you can't clear a sample. I've had it with a record that would have been great. It would have been a big one for me. You just can't get the clearance on it. So whereas there's a record that I put out on Fool's Paradise under the name Langton, which is one of my spin-off aliases that I was working on with my younger brother and my flatmate at the time. We were making disco together, like literally, like, you know, one of them on keys, my brother on bass, me being the producer. Go look it up. It's a great record. A record I'm very proud of, actually. It's a nice record to have. My brother actually playing on bass on it's cool as well. And that took 3 years to clear the sample on that. I think straight up at 3 years to clear that sample. Yeah, so it you know, like that's the trade-off. But before all of that, the creative side of things, I don't like the sampling, like yeah, but stuff to stop my creativity. I'll always mine the creativity first, and then approach like what has to happen once it's like a record that's going out. Like there's lots of records I've written about, like I'll never get that cleared, and I'll just leave it on a hard drive. But I had the most fun ever making it. Music isn't about releasing it. I mean, AI is really highlighting that to me more than ever now, that it's actually about the process. I'm not going to get into it tonight, but yeah, for sure, man. So like, I always say to people, look, yes, don't be a dick, but also don't starve your own creativity because it's sampled, right? Like all of the best records in the history of house music, it's all samples, man. So, right. Anyway, right, disclaimer, we all cool? Everyone good? Everyone all cool? You can't get me. I think I've covered it. I don't think you can get me. But I don't want to, sorry, yeah, I really took a long time to explain that. Back to what I was saying is, I can't fully just show you, oh, look, it's this record, because nowadays the YouTube algorithm is super sharp at like hearing, like if you played a licensed record, that there's all this technicality of YouTube where if a record label has deemed that song to be allowed to be played on YouTube by other people, it doesn't get dinged like by their algorithm, meaning it'll pull your stream down. Like if we could play like 3 seconds of this, and if it's on a label that's like, no one else is allowed to have it, this string could end. It's happened to people. Like nowadays, it's not like, oh, eventually you get like a thing going, oh, look, you can like say this wasn't illegal. But nowadays, yeah, it's the algorithms like AI generate. You know, it's an AI algorithm now, so it's not an algorithm, it's AI. And it will take your stream down like straight away. So everyone's like, oh, that's where you get a lot of people on different platforms trying to, because like a lot of DJs have found this. Like a lot of people are doing DJ stuff on YouTube found that it wasn't doable. And a lot of like other YouTuber types, like gamers and stuff, stopped putting, like they would have like little funny songs they would play from, like, you know, just as like little funny memes. They couldn't do it anymore because their stream would just get taken straight away. So we've got to be a little bit mindful of that, and that's why I'm being a little bit tentative around it. It's the only. It's just because YouTube's being a dick about it. But it is what it is. They got to look after themselves. But this is where it comes from. Oh! Very careful now. Very careful. What we'll do. As we will pitch it up 4 semitones, which is what I've done for the record. So I've gone up 4 semitones. So I've taken this bit, this little slither here, and I'm actually looping up just that one bar. Just to keep it in that funky, loopy sort of state. And then there's this, if you listen to the bass, she doesn't change, but the bass does a little ding, ding, ding. So I use that as the every 4 bars, every 8 bars. I can't remember what I actually ended up doing. That hasn't been solved, I'll be honest. It's still, yeah, I think, is it only there? Like you can see here, I've used it. We turn the filter off. Yeah, and then everywhere else. I thought I put it at the end here. Yeah, there. Dun, dun, dun. So it's always this loop. So that's how the loop works. And yeah, just like Nate's saying, jumping back in time, sorry, there's a delay on the chat in there. Yeah, you basically have to have clout. If you're like, oh, look, I've sampled like Gladys Knight, let me send it to a major label. Unless you've got, and I hate this, but unless you've got like a large follower, you're putting out records, there's loads of fucking hype behind you. So someone can look at it and go like, that's illegal. Ooh, but you could make us some money reselling that sample that we're not, you know, you've sampled a song that we're not really making any money on anymore. We can make a fuckload of money. You're not going to make any money. We're going to rob you blind. So, but that's, and loads of records have gone out like that. There's, yeah, I can't name names and say anything like that, can I, on a live stream? But yeah, I know a bunch of people from over the years. I've been doing this 25 years, where like they put a big record out, but they saw no money because of how that works. And yeah, and you'll get someone like LF Sound System that came through just fucking blatantly sampling loads of like really known stuff, but they almost like hit this cool factor of like, oh, it's really cool that they're doing that. And then Radio 1 like massively supported them, like daytime radio plays. They got picked up by a major, was it Ireland? I'm not sure. Sorry, boys, I don't remember who it was. If you, as if they're going to see this. It's that kind of clout. It gives you that kind of leeway. Like Radio 1 are playing his stuff all the time. Like, you know, people can go like, this is worth some money. Let's sort this out. You make it happen. So like, if you're just like randomly making, you know, you're pretty new, but you've got this good sample, you don't get the same access to that being cleared as someone else who's massive. It's brutal, but trust me, most stuff in the music industry is brutal and not fair. Like, get used to that. It really is not fair a lot of the time. It's a popularity contest on steroids a lot of the time. Right, so who gives a fucking shit, right? Let's not worry about the sampling stuff anymore. That's the bit of the sample we're using. It's the only bit of the sample that I'm using. I'm not using anything else from it. It's just that one little tiny loop, and every now and again it does the second bar. Here I've got that second bar happening constantly, but fucking that's probably just because I accidentally copy and pasted it like that. I'll be completely honest with you. Got some effects, very simple stuff, crashes, reverse cymbals, little bits and pieces, straight out sample packs. Yeah, like nothing clever at all. I think this is like a vinyl. Did a very original thing of putting a vinyl crackle on a breakdown. You might, you know, you've never heard that before. Very original idea from me there. For those who are not British, that's heavy sarcasm from me there, by the way. You might not, just in case you're from somewhere else in the world, that's my sense of humour, just brutally sarcastic. It's just samples, right? White noise splashes on drops and so on, right? Some of these are turned off, actually, because I didn't like them. There's some other bits and pieces. What's this down here? There's some stuff that's like... That's not cheesy at all, mate. Yeah, just samples I was fucking around with, like toying with. Again, let's clear some of this out, right? Let's get some of this cleared out. So we're not using that, we're not using that. Let's get rid of it then. What is that? Because I think I liked that, but I hadn't worked it out. Warner. Get sound. Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's rubbish. Delete. Delete. This is really important to do. I'm just going to delete this vinyl crackle. It's from the old project, and that's the thing. So there's stuff in here that's from the old project. A drum clone. Actually, here's where I made the kick drum. Look, we'll do a whole live stream on sampling. I think at some point, like cutting drums out and stuff like that, right? So what I have done is I've stem split the vocal and then added the plugins back on. I personally find that stem splitting, I turn my plugins off. Let's say, for instance, right, I've got this sample and I put all these plugins on it, right? This sample has got pitch wheel going up +4. It's got BX creating a sub bass. It's then got R bass creating lower harmonics. It's then got heavy compression to make it feel much thicker and fuller compared to the original. Like way different. Bit of EQing just to get it away from the kick. Brighten it up a little bit. Just here again. I'll probably get rid of some of any EQs I do when I'm in a creative stage. Tends to get changed later because it sounded good at the time. Doesn't mean it is. Radiator, because I absolutely fucking radiator. I'm a saturation fiend. I've spent more money than I would care to say on hardware saturated stuff over the years and sold stuff. It's my jam. It's my thing. And I just think Radiator is the best one I've ever heard. Better than Decapitator. I'll die on that hill. A low pass filter, very fun. An LFO, a high pass filter for stuff in the breakdown, and Endless Smile. The classic for breakdown stuff, right? That's it. So it's got a load of plugins on it. What I'll do is I'll turn all that jive off to stem separate. So the stem separation hasn't got this extra processing to kind of look through. I'll try and keep it as clean as possible. The one thing I do want to do tonight and see how it comes out. What I've got is I've got the main sample, but it's got the vocal on it. And I'm not sure I want to keep that. I stem split the vocal out, but I left the vocal on there. So I do want to try and stem split this with everything other than the vocal now. There's a part of me that thinks it's really not fucking necessary. I'll be honest with you. The way I envisage this record going, I don't think I need to do this. But I think it's like kind of worth talking about. From music producer to a music producer. If we take, let's do the double one. And we're going to turn off slightly high pitched that zap there. Don't even know where that came from. Oh, it's this. Oh yeah, there's also this. So I do a lot of stuff like this. If you look, I'm automating. It's just like a sample, straight out of sample pack. HK, old school sample pack. I'm automating the start position. If you watch it, look. And then I'll pitch automate it. I'll do filters, panning, reverb, devil lock, also a banger, EQ the low end out, and then automate at the very end, automate the volume just to kind of actually be able to control it however I want. I do loads of my effects on me taking an effect sample, then looping up a bit of it and like moving the start place around. Like a lot of the weird stuff you hear on my records, where a lot of people have sort of asked me, like engineers over the years have been like, mate, I've got to ask you, what is that fucking sound? Where's it from? And it would just be like, oh, it's a Mark Knight effects loop. I did that too. Yeah, sorry. When I do that, it's me looking at the chat, by the way. Right, so let's stem sep this. I'm going to turn all of these plugins off. Get off. Turn all you lot off, and we're just going to... Nope. Shh. You didn't hear nothing, AI. It's fine. It was actually me singing, so don't worry about that. Separate to new tracks, and what I want to do is I want to take vocal off and then merge to single track, right? You might say, Ben, don't you want to get rid of the drums? Let's try it. Let's try two different ones. I will often keep the drums in stuff when I'm like turning things into bass lines and stuff. If there is a little like janky kick against the bass line, sometimes when you're filtering stuff or like adding like sub basses with like sub harmonics and stuff, like with sub synth, you can get something out of that relationship that you don't get when everything's like clinical and like, oh yes, I've got it all separated and I've transposed this and I've transferred it onto a synth and now it's in Serum and it's a perfectly shaped sub bass. It's like, yeah, sounds like EDM now. Great. Don't like it. I like things being a bit like, oof, like a bit like, oh, just something's wrong but right about this. I've always loved that about music. So I don't ever go for like full like, oh yes, but Ben, what you could do is you separate the drums, you'd EQ at 80 hertz precisely, sir. I like hate that shit. I really don't like it in music. I quite like things being a bit like, ooh, nearly not right, but kind of somehow is right. There's magic in that for me. It's just, maybe it's a me thing, right? That was really loud. Separate. So if you didn't know, you can click that little button and it will separate them all together. So now this will be everything other than the vocal, I think. Also notice it's doing it quite quickly. It's because I've consolidated this down into the small bit I'm using rather than trying to do the whole thing. So this should now be... Did I leave the LFO on? That sounds like the LFO's on that, doesn't it? It's not. Okay. Right, let's copy that all across here. Then we'll copy those plugins back down. We'll keep this as a dead channel now, but it's the original one. I'm going to make this a purple color because that's what I have my like instruments being when I work. Now I know I've got vocal and instruments, and we'll copy all of these plugins, just bang down onto this one. Luckily, I sold all of my limbs to buy a really, really good PC a couple of years ago, so I don't have to think about CPU at all. Cutscene for half an hour time and my CPU melts on me because it's so hot in here. That would be good. So let's get into it. Let's get. Oh, that sounds like some stuff's left on there, but it definitely wasn't. Right, let's listen to it in context because that's screwing with my brain. How did that happen? Did I consolidate it wrong? Oh yeah, look. You can see that timing of that, look. What happened there? I must have had, I know what it is, look, I can see it. There's like a weird little bit. What has happened there? You're meant to be like that, are you? Yeah, look, there's like a weird bit, you can see it. So that whole bit's been copied over wrong. Let's get rid of that. The fire's burning. Don't worry about that. Let's copy you over. Make sure all plugins are definitely fucking off. Ah, look, you prick. Fuck off. Why are you doing that? Off. Everything's off. Everything's off. I thought it sounded like that sidechain was still on, man. Can't get one past me, Ableton, you little... There's a little bit there. So that's that bit from there, is it? The bit that we cut off. What we'll do is we're going to consolidate that again like that. It's the thing with creative sessions. It's mistakes, right? That's what this is. It's like the mistakes. Separate. Bish, bash, boosh. Do it. Oh, thank you, mate. I appreciate that. Blurby R. Hey, Records. How you doing, man? Records is my younger brother, by the way, everyone. We used to DJ a lot together and make a lot of music together over the years. Yeah, no, that's awesome, mate. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad. I need to do a new one because that touring one is dated now. It's a few years back. I'd like to do a whole new take on the mixing and mastering thing. Do a lot of it in my demo strategy course, to be fair, with my students. But I think sometimes like people just want bite size, like just help me figure this thing out kind of stuff. So I'm glad that's given that to you, mate. It means a lot to me. Put a lot of time and effort into those sort of things, and it's because I like to help people with this shit. So that's great to hear, man. I appreciate you saying that. Right, okay, have we... Woo, be careful now. Careful now. It's gonna plug it back on. That was me singing, don't worry about it. So that scratchiness, right, that dustiness that you can sort of hear here, like that kind of almost Daft Punk sort of thing, is this. It's the resample thing on here. Which I really like, but I think that's what's made the bass line sound fucked. I can hear it instantly for me. Like if I go off, focus the bass. Completely lose the bass, don't we? All right, fine. You know what we're going to do then, don't you? We know what we're going to do. Don't even worry about it. Well, what I will do is I'm going to stem set the bass from the original, not my stem set, because it becomes a stem separation on a stem separation on a stem separation on a stem separation. Which, it's jank on jank on jank in it, let's be honest. Separate bass. High quality. I might remake this bass. What I did, I've got another record that I'm working on. It's just like this, and I remade the bass from scratch. We might do now. We're not getting a full arrangement done, are we? Hello. So what we might be able to do now is keep. Sorry, thought I'd stem separate with the plugins back on then. I was going to kill myself. Right, so we got, which one's which? Right, this is the baseline. Let's start calling things, and I'm going to color things what my brain knows. My brain works with colors rather than words. So, like, I know bass as pink, more than the word being bass there. It's just the way my brain works. Right, so now we can leave this thing that's ruining the low end, although we do need to be careful because there's low end still in there. We can then blend in now the non-fucked with bassline. We can turn all these plugins back on apart from this guy. It means now we've got this one, which is quite quiet. So we're going to turn that up. We can actually sort of work with this a little bit more now. Yeah, that sounds lovely. Sarcasm again, by the way. Those of you that aren't from the UK. What we want now is tools. We want Melodyne. I'm going to bang that little Melodyne on. And we're going to go, and make it smaller so it's a bit easier for us to see on the stream. Solo. Transfer. Bish bash boosh. We go settings, save as MIDI. This is going to be fire burning, fire burn, bass 1. And then bear with me while I'll go and find that without showing that completely on my live stream, my entire computer. God, where's that? Sample packs. I can show you this. This is fine. Sample packs, demo strategy, and then MIDI for Melodyne, fire burn, MIDI, put you in. For some reason, it always does this. Oh, it's because it's exporting the entire amount. Yeah, from the start. Don't really get why it does that. It does. There's a rough estimate of the bass notes. We are not feeling confident about that. I'm going to be completely honest with you. That's not looking right at all, is it? Normally quite good. What is it? Oh, it's just... That reminds me if I've got 5 on it. Dun, dun. Dun, dun. I got 5 on it. Right, anyway, we're gonna try this out. We're gonna use Modo bass. I always say mood bass. It actually looks like M-O-O-D whenever I look at it. Modo bass. Fantastic bass guitar VST, man. It's fucking sick. Apart from, it's very annoying with where your MIDI notes need to be. Doesn't like you being low, because it's like real bass guitars aren't actually that low, I suppose. But so we need to be a. What's that, Ableton? And then we just tighten it all up. Let's go in and have a little look. So that's meant to be there. There's going to be one before it. Be there. So let's go on 16ths. Probably there. Probably there. Let's look at it like this. Oh no, I was wrong. Right, let's put it exactly where it thinks it is. That's like off, like there. You're there. Right, you are off. Ugh, where did that go? Right, you are here. Smidge, that's Not right. Or there, which is actually probably going to be more like that, but let's just do it 1 to 1. Yeah, I don't need that upper note. So what's going on with that? What is it, just because it's long? That's over here, right? So that's then going to be... What's it heard there? Is it meant to be this one? I suppose it's meant to be this one, is it? Okay. Right. Okay, we're cooking. I want this little one here, but I don't know what it is. Work it out. Ah, it's the kick. It's the... Right, we know what to do now. We're going to get it all in line. I don't think that exists. I think that's like this one. This is... I think that's the algorithm struggling to hear exactly what something is. Anyone who's randomly come across this channel at this very moment and you thought music production was real vibey and it's loads of cool people and doing like really like killer studios with loads of like girls dancing around in the background, actually this is a grown man doing this. This is actually what music production is. Just so you know, just to be clear. Close. There's something in here. Yeah, okay, let's look at that. What the fuck is going on there? That one was horrible. Why is that weird? I'm just going to have to mute it. Do you know what? I think for making a bass line, I think it's going to be better without that note. Or maybe only having that note and not that one, right? Okay. Technical term. It's a very technical jargon, that. It's all like kind of... We're going to go operator. We're going to bang an operator on here because we want a bit of a sub bass, right? We're going to warm this bad boy. I might not even use that guitar. My brain likes to actually play around with the guitar against the guitar. It's more tonal as well. Like a sub bass is always just like... I'm going to use pitch at the start here so I don't have to start moving MIDI notes around. I can just come in and go, I want it an octave lower. Boom. Makes life a lot easier, right? Bassline and the sub bass. God, that bass line's disgusting, isn't it? Can we get away with using mine? With the timing not sounding absolutely like I want to be seasick. Yeah, sure, that's okay. It's not bad. It's all right. We can tighten it all up now. Because what we'll do... Where's our sample? The bass is off. You're back on. Solo. That's actually the original. Oh, is it? No, yeah, okay, it is. It's just I've got to turn all that stuff back on. We should probably just close down, right? Get rid of this. Yeah, that's not bad. Now we've got an actual bass guitar and an actual sub on the sample, and we can have or not have the bit crushy sort of Daft Punk-esque thing happening here. Turn that off. Oh, there's something all loosey-goosey in there. Maybe we actually... Now I want to just have a little look at removing the low end from the original sample. In fact, on here, I am using 2 plugins to create a bass line out of the sample. As like this, and I'll do stuff like this. You see how we've gone from just having a sample and I've like, oh, I've got to use the R bass on it and so on, which is great when you're just jamming out and having a bit of fun. Reality is sometimes you do need to do what you're seeing me do here, which is break it all down and rebuild bass lines. And I've had a fair bit of practice at doing it. It can be quite tricky. And it's not quite perfect, but not bad for 5 minutes work, right? But what my point is we can actually turn these bassline generating things off now from the sample, rather than EQing, Ben. Like EQing when I've already put sub stuff on is retarded. Yeah, that's quite good. That's not bad. There's something a little smeary in like the way it goes up those notes. If we get rid of the bass guitar, my bass guitar, yeah, that's way better. So maybe now we just find a bass guitar from this from this plugin that sits in the mix a little bit better. That sounds quite nice, but you can feel the timing now, which is good because it's just making it stand out. You can feel where it's actually meant to be. Yeah, it's meant to be here. And I don't like, I tell you what I don't like is these velocities. I know loads of people are going to shout at me about that. I'm a house music producer, all right? I'm just going to fucking squash it with limiters and compressors anyway, so just leave me alone. You do miss that note there. It's about that. It feels weird. A bit better without it. Might be, mightn't it? What about the sub? Oh, copy that down. No, that's weird. It's got to be there. Right, next thing we've got to do, because this is what's throwing our brains, or throwing my brain, is the LFO. I'm going to copy the LFO from the sample so everything's bouncing in the same way, because that's changing the flow of everything, right? Why is it automated off? Is it goes because what I was doing earlier? Yeah. Let's get that back on. It's fine. The LFO hides all of my inability to get things in time. It's very great. That's fine. You can still feel the smeariness, can't you? What is it like if we do what I said and we EQ? What I might do is actually turn our bass back on, because our bass gives a heftiness to things without. Let's see. You got to remember, it's not sounding bad, but you do have to remember that this is with nothing else around it. There's some killer records out there that, like, once they had all the bits and pieces around them. Or sorry, if you took all the drums and everything away from the way they used the sample, it sounded like chalked. I've had stems from like people from back in the day, from fairly big records, and you'd be surprised actually, like what people got away with, and you just didn't realise either. You don't notice it once everything's around it. So I think like the way we're clinically doing this at the moment is fairly brutal. So I think we can start trying to maybe look at this in the actual context to the what it's like in my song, right? So we've now got. Is this working? We've got. What are you? Okay, that's just the bass. So I think we're gonna bin that. Yeah, let's just get out of it. Just get out. Okay, that's you. And where did I put my sample drive thing? There you are. Thank you. Right. So you. With the bit crush on or off, you know, again, that's just our thing to play with now. I'm going to just put a bit of EQ on the end of that. It's sounding quite so, I guess, like smeary is the word I would use for it, but. But it in context here. It's the sub bass. My guitar, which does sound a lot like their guitar, to be fair. It's not like a billion miles away from sounding right. I'm just gonna hammer it with some compression before the stuff we were using. A bit of drive to it, sounding a little too polite, I like to call it. Capitator. After the R bass, after the compression. No, I did say decapitator. Oh, I did say decapitator, but I didn't mean decapitator. Should we go sausage fattener for the lols? I actually wanted radiator, but. Oh, you can hear that note missing now, can't you? That's funny. We put them back in. Oh, I'm doing that to the wrong one, aren't I? That's not what it's doing. I think that's meant to be here like this. It's going to be that, isn't it? Then we can do little things like add a, like sort of start thinking of it almost back to being a sample. So it seems a bit mad, but I'm going to put a filter on this and sort of like maybe tame it down a little bit as if it was the sample. Just for a quick reflection, the original. I shouldn't really be toying around with low end as much as I am because we're on headphones. We've got to copy this one back down because we made some changes, make sure it's the same. Okay, and then we have the vocal. Got about you. Yeah. Pitched up 4 semitones because of the way we've done the sampling, and then L2 was on there. I can't remember why. I do remember why. It was really catching. I don't know why that's off actually. Maybe I did when I stem split. I kept it on, so then left it, and then CLA. Literally rock female preset. Try and get a bit more weight back into it. So it doesn't sound so sort of like clinically split, right? Get off. get to that later. Right, now just to be brutal with myself, I just want to turn... Right, I need to delete things because it's getting confusing. What's that? And bass. Okay, so that's sub. Why are you not? Sure, I swear I did that earlier. Bass. Sub bass, normal bass, sampled hooks. This is the original one. Yes. Okay, so what I want to do is just check if 1, 2, and then that's the original sound. That's the split sample, and that's the split vocal. So technically, these 4 are now the song, right? These 4 are like what we've just, all that work we've just done for an hour is to get this. And I just want to compare it with what it sounded like before against the original sample. Make sure everything's turned on as it was. Is that really where that was? There's like no low end in that. That doesn't seem right, does it? I want this to be a fair fight, and I feel like ours is going to have a lot more. Maybe it's just because my ears have tuned in, right, to having bass in it. So yeah, that's how it sounded. Something about that doesn't feel right to me. I swear it didn't sound like that. What's this? You, sir, are tricking us. Go away. Okay, these 4 on. Yeah, it's the same thing, but it sounds like a lot bassier, but it still doesn't quite have the thing that I want it to have, which is, I think, is a mixing stage thing. I think I'll probably group them, process them as like one sort of chunk. But it kind of gives us, for me, like compared to where it was, if we now copy this over, because now we've got a lot of the automations. Don't do anything silly now, Benji. And it's going to be... See, I've done the resolve there, look. So it's that, and then the full one. So we'll copy that back over, and then I believe it was the full one before the build up, before the drop. And then it was just the loop. I think it's the same difference. So if we go, this bit is like that, that. And it should copy it should have copied all the automations. He says in absolute hope. And you guys, wait on the way a bit. Just copying over the high pass filter that I've used to make that breakdown feeling. Just making sure that's actually on all these parts. It should be on these ones because that's how it's copied over. Yes, we might be able to get away with using my bassline shit as like when it's in groove. But actually in breakdowns, you actually just rely on what was in the sample. That actually sounds a bit cooler. and on, right? Okay, now this brings us to what really, what I think the next big thing is. So we've solved it. We've solved some problems. The reality of this is, for me, I know firsthand, just from doing this for many, many years, I would need to come back in on the PMCs, on the small speakers, headphones, fresh ears, to really know if I've got that low end right, to really calibrate it against. I need to sit and go get the old MP3 from the other day when I was working on it and really listen to it and double check. Do you know? And there's a very, 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 very important point here, is all this clever stuff that I've just been doing, well, either very boring or very clever, depends on who you are, who's watching this. On splitting the bass out, remaking the bass from scratch, using a sub bass, using a guitar plug-in to remake the bass, get that away, just so we could get that kind of nasally sort of sound from the filter effect on the main sample, split the vocal away. So we've got the vocals, the bass, and the music stuff as 3 separate things that allows us then far more creativity, far more options within the arrangement process. So we can have sections now with no vocal. Before I couldn't. We can have, you get the point, right? We can have sections where it's just bass and vocal now. Couldn't do that before. So we've opened up like loads and loads and loads of options for us, and it's exponential with music production. Like on song arrangement, it's only 4 things open, yeah, but it's just there's so many variables now. Like the way you can go into a breakdown, the way you can do a build up, all this kind of stuff is unlocked now by doing this work. But I don't give a shit about any of that if it doesn't sound as good as what it sounded like before. I think it sounds better. But you can never be sure, man. Even after how long was the time? We're doing this for an hour and 20 minutes. It doesn't mean like I've lost objectivity. I've traded it. I've traded objectivity for my creativity now, as we spoke about at the beginning of this live stream. Like I've traded it. I don't have fresh ears. I don't have objectivity about it anymore. I don't know what sounds better. I'm pretty sure it sounds better, but I need some fresh ears. That's the reality of music production. Like, do you know what I would actually, if you guys weren't here, this is a point, and this is just for like education, I suppose. Like, this is where I go, like, yeah, sound. I'll come back in 10. Let's save this as keep fire burning, live. Yeah, and then I won't do it. I will carry on. But like, this is what I would now go away, make a cup of tea, make coffee, just sort of like watch some shit on my phone in the kitchen, away from the studio. Do you know what I mean? Go for a walk, whatever it is, right? To calibrate, to recalibrate, because you can pull back some objectivity by just recalibrating the ears to the rest of the world. Especially if you work with headphones, man. Like if you just got headphones on. It's very hard to know, like, because you start fucking around, don't you, with EQs? You start trying, is the bass line just this? Is it? And in some people's brains, you're obsessed about that stuff, and that's not really what I really want to care about right now. What I want to show you guys is how to get this idea into something that feels more like a song. And I feel like we're going to do another live stream later this week to finish this. To be honest, I actually want to start live streaming way more often. I've got to figure it out, even if no one shows up. Even if I've got to do it at times when it's literally just me talking to myself, but making music, just turn it into content, do you know what I mean? Right, let's get rid of all these markers up top. No. Again, hangover from the old project, right? Should have done this before I came in today, actually. Breakdown, build, drop, fine, okay. Sounds quite good, actually, just with that bass off and on there. I didn't originally make that the full. I did make it the full one. I thought it just felt weird to my brain there. That's got to be this one. And the reason I bring this up is because I'm starting to talk about rules, and this is what I want to spend the next we're probably going to overrun tonight, if I'll be completely real with you. rules in music and how you can use rules to arrange a record quite quickly. So within this sort of not even 48 bar song idea, there's actually some bits going on in here that are very, very important to recognize and very, very important to take stock of as a music producer, because they are becoming the rules of what's right and wrong within this record. And if you don't honor those or respect them, then like you'll be spinning around in circles wondering what the fuck you should do with your record. So what are rules? And you know, it's music, mate. Rules are made to be broken, sort of. Yeah, apart from hang on, apart from when you're on Windows. Sorry, I need a little pen tool to do this. Do you know what I mean? Teacher mode, kick in. It's not gonna work. Yeah. There's rules, right? You need to have rules. You can invent your own rules. This is the best thing about like someone like me saying to you, oh, it's music, you've got to have rules. I don't mean you've got to fucking go find a textbook that tells you how to write a house record. Don't do that. What I'm talking about is you can make up your own rules. You are God. This is your universe. You are God mode. And that's what I call it, God mode, the way I write music like this. I don't think left to right. The listener listens left to right. Forward to, you know, from front to end, like left to right. That's how they experience it. I don't make music like that. I don't have to. I'm my own God. This is my universe. I can do whatever I want. I can work on the outro first if I want to. I can time travel around the project. I can do whatever I want. I can also invent all the rules. So what are rules? Well, if you think about like how keep the fire burning, that's a rule. It's a rule. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. It's a rule. It's a hook. If it goes, keep the fire burning, 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 like it's some random point in the record, that breaks the rule. You might, as a producer, because you're over listening to your own records and you're working on things like relentlessly, you might think that sounds really good. You might think that sounds really cool because it sounds new and interesting to you as the creative, but actually to the listener, it might not have been necessary. So rules can exist in hooks, obviously. Ding 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 is a hook. You do that on repeat. That's what makes it hooky. In arrangement, it's very similar, and it's a big thing about writing a good record is knowing what the actual rules are, which basically is a way of saying knowing what the good bits are, knowing what the bad bits are, knowing to do that more often and don't do that at all. There's a few rules that have already started to appear within this record, right? We've got a couple of things, right? Over here, we'll do it in a second. But we've got the version of the hook, right, that's filtered down. We've got a version of the hook that's got like a high pass filter. It's doing a very, I always call it the Daft Punk thing. I don't know why, because people have been doing it from before Daft Punk, and you know everyone's always done it. But I just always think of Daft Punk, where it's like that high pass, but like sort of slightly flangy sort of feel to everything. We've got the drop. We keep it going for 16 with edits. Are these edits necessary? Didn't do them here. Is this too stop-starty? Starting to look at the rules. Look, here's a rule. Here's a rule. Why is this doing this? It's not wrong per se, but you do have to ask. This is how you problem solve your records. There is a rule. You've set out a rule, but you've changed it. So is this having edits every 8 bars the thing? Should that be here? I'm not saying it definitely should be underlined, you must do this, but I'm saying this is how you think. So let's break it down. Let's look it through. So we need a whole song. So in a whole song, we need a couple of different modes. We need the chorus essentially being keep the fire burning on loop. And that becomes a big motif and what I think sounds good in my record. We've got 16 bars of the vocal and the guitars and the bass and all the other bits looping every bar. Ding, 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 ding. It's just a bar loop. And at every 8 bars at the moment, that resolves itself. Okay? It resolves itself. That's a hook. So the hook isn't just keep the fire burning. The hook is actually the fact that it's looping up like that, and then every 8 bar resolves. There's like a longer version of the hook. It's like a message that's within the record for the listener on the dance floor. They know something's going to happen. They knew a cowbell was going to come in there. They knew the breakdown was coming in right now, and it's just because of the feeling of the record. So it's a very important thing to recognize. So one of the strongest things this record has is it's really fucking loopy. Like really, really constantly, like let's lean into it, relentlessly loopy. That's a really important thing to take on board. And I think that's something that sounds good. It needs work. It's very dry at the moment, but even through the breakdown, the way you just get this. It's just the vocal. It's just constant. Now we can play with that a little bit more. Now we've got this all like split out and everything. We can kind of look at it and go, if we put have you got a low pass lurking around in there? I think I had this guy moving around on the vocal, this one. So if we put this low pass filter onto the vocal, so it's this, I just took that low pass filter from the sampled version, like the actual musical stuff. So now the vocal and the musical stuff's going to be in tandem. Obviously we can change it if we want to, but again, simple rules are important. I don't like this lot stopping. It's too highlighted. So the loopiness is really important. The loopiness is really, really important. And we can play with that by filtering things down and up and things. But the continuousness is a really strong selling point of the record. So now I know that. The next thing I know is I need a counterweight to that, a juxtaposition to that, so to speak, right? So what that means is if the loopiness is really, really important, there's going to be certain points in the record where I want a major part of that loopiness to be gone. So there is not always this, it can't be there all the time. We can't have the vocal and everything just there the whole fucking time. We've got to kind of create moments and pushes and pulls within the record. But what we have to realize is in the way that we do that, we have to honor the fact that the whole core of the record is about loopiness. So we have to honor it, but we also have to realize that we can't be constant. So you've got to find the right space. You've got to find the right space. And that's the little thing I want to work out here is that. So the vocal's going to stop and everything's just going to carry on for the moment. Apologies for the, sorry for the zap noise. So we can't keep, I don't want to keep looping up the resolve. That doesn't feel right at all hearing it today at all. So we're going to stick to the rule. Every 8 bar, it will resolve. But the vocal going, I think that's not right. You keep in the pocket. You get the zappy sound. This zappy sound counterweights the fact that the high frequency vocal's gone. We've got high frequency sound disappears. High frequency zappy sound comes in. So sonically you get counterweighted, but the hook goes. And look, you can look at being like, right, okay, so maybe this should, what would it be like if this filtered down? And this move, what we're about to do right now, my instincts tell me that this will be too much. What will happen now is we'll slow the record down too much. I don't know that for sure. Let's listen to it. So now we're just focused on my bass line, my remake of the bass line, right? Rather than having the musical stuff in there. Let's go back to the musical stuff being in, calibrate. It's not right or wrong there. I quite like it being in. I think I actually quite like the way that's quite constant with it, especially if we bring the zaps back into play. Well, let's bring those zaps into play and bring this right down. Let's get rid of it a second. Off. Now, this is where the line between right and wrong gets very blurry and tricky. And this is where you get stuck in like loopitis of going like maybe this, maybe that, maybe this, maybe that, maybe this, maybe that. This is where I think as a music producer, you need to make a very, you can change this decision, but you need to make a very like conscious decision about what works, because you're going to use this rule to arrange the entire record. Like this is what you will go on to do, which is what we're going to do. You have to figure it out. We can change it. We can go back on what we think, right? But I think it sounds quite good keeping it looping. I think it sounds quite good keeping it looping. Now we're filtering it here and we're filtering it here. So there is a rule sort of been established that we like the filteringness. So you do have to have a question mark about that. It's a different part of the record. Again, it's music. It's just about like recognizing these things exist and like going, okay, right. So that's what I need to work out. Could you go vocal keeps going? I mean, let's look at the options, but like the musical stuff completely stops. Nothing, right? It doesn't really do anything. Like it doesn't make anything feel that different. Like it's not. It doesn't validate itself enough. It doesn't do anything enough to make anything that interesting. I don't want to take any drum sounds out. Because it will slow the groove down too much. So we've got to keep going. We've got to honor the loopiness. So I think what we can do with this record is you can go with the intro, build to the breakdown, which will have a little bit more work done to it, but I think it sets itself up quite nicely. I think the vocal could potentially, in fact, actually, did I Endless Smile that? Is there an automation on that? Doesn't look like there is. I thought there was. No. I just had it on. I remember there being an automation on that. On the vocal, I'm going to put Endless Smile. And I'm going to bring it up and bring it, because I don't want it to go like really, really big reverb, then drop to the loopiness. I need it to kind of feel like it's building, then come back down to almost sort of dry sort of vibe. Sorry, I copied that to the wrong place. So this is where we enter into the space of like trying to figure everything out. Hey Nicholas, how you doing, dude? Good to see you, man. This is the next big sort of chapter of this. So we've got the drums are locked in now. We've got all the bits and pieces separated out and working really, really well. I quite like that zap sound as like a counterweight to the vocal being in there or not. That's a rule that's kind of presented itself to me, that they work quite well against each other. So what I first like to do when I'm arranging a record, this is going to seem quite mental, is I'm just going to like copy this breakdown over and go like this. It would only be like almost like a radio edit. So I'll sort of go, okay, that's great, but like I'll do like a longer version, maybe twice as long. And this would continue, but in a breakdown form. And that's why I like having my kicks on a high pass channel. If you ever like seen how I work with that sort of stuff. I like having like a high pass kick channel so I can move them down. This kick, let's delete that. It's like a kick from an earlier version of the record. There. That's okay. Breakdown. Breakdown 2. Drop. What? That was weird, wasn't it? Drop. And then just follow the rules. Take these out on the breakdowns. Vocal beam from the beginning of the breakdown. A lot of the automations is going to make things a bit janky. And then in my head, this is like the arrangement version 1, is I'll think like there'll be an outro after here, and there's obviously an intro here, and I'll work this out and then maybe flesh the middle of the record out more, depending on the rules that I come up with. I've got an old high string in here. I'm going to get rid of that. And just what I will do is I do actually want to listen to this through, and I want to figure out a bunch of different things, but I've just got a text. I've got to go and sort this out very, very quickly. Dad mode. So I'm going to be back in 2 minutes. Apologies. I will literally be like a minute. Okay, right back. Okay, sorted. Apologies. Through live stream. Okay, so what I want to figure out here, I don't care about intros, don't care about outros. Piece of piss. Takes 2 seconds to work out, right? Takes absolutely no time. Let me just double check. Mic. Yep. I'm going to run this through. We're going to listen to it through. Obviously, it's going to be a bit jank, so I'm just going to work out automations on the fly as we listen. We've heard this enough times. just notice little things like I don't want that kick stopping like that. That doesn't make sense. It's just where I copy pasted things. A bass sounded it just because of the kick drum? Yeah, I think it is. Okay, so obviously with some finesse, but essentially that's what you would expect out of a record like this. Like there's lots of, we can name probably a handful of artists that we all like and make this sort of stuff, and that's basically what the breakdowns would be like, especially if you like go back and listen to the old stuff. Obviously think times have changed. So what happens now for me, two different things. One thing we haven't spoken about tonight, and I didn't want to, is reference tracks, labels, because that's a big thing that I do. A big thing I will do. I think I deleted them. No, there's a bunch still up here. There's a couple. I got rid of a lot of them. But stuff from, I think this is from Cecile Recordings and not Records. I think it might be Phoenix Music Incorporated. A record label, a couple of reference tracks from those sorts of things. Bit more like this sort of style that I'm making right now. Now, to be real with you, I'm not going to do it tonight, and also again because of the way YouTube is now, like you can't, but because they'll ding you and the stream will get taken down. But I would be looking at these reference tracks, and to straight up finish this record for real. I'll be listening to reference tracks, looking at how long their breakdowns are, how many breakdowns do they have, how long is it between the breakdowns, like how long are the vocals in for, how long are their vocals looping for. Not because I need to go and copy it, I need to calibrate. You don't always know what the fuck right and wrong is when you're working on music. Sometimes you just need, like, let's take 3 or 4 records that are really sick and these people got it 100% right because they're amazing records, and just learn from them just a little bit. Just like take on board the fact that, like, yeah, shit, they've actually got more drums or more top end, but like down to arrangement where it's just like, oh yeah, their breakdowns aren't as long, but they have more of them. Oh no, they actually only have 2 breakdowns and they're both really long. Oh, there's only 1 breakdown, it's super, super long, or whatever it is. It can really help you kind of just like firm up like where you place your creativity, because all of us are really creative people. If you're watching this, you're obviously a very creative person because you make music. And creativity needs to be nurtured, and in the world that we live in nowadays, human beings need to be more creative than ever and not follow models anymore, which is how I learned, is from following, like, you know, watching what other people do and kind of like borrowing from what they've done and done it better. But now AI has come along and kind of just like could do all that like instantly. Again, not getting into it tonight. I think human beings need to be very original and very creative and kind of do things that makes other human beings go like, oh, what the fuck, that's so cool. That needs to happen, like big time. I mean, I was saying this in Tech House before AI came along, to be perfectly honest with you. I was a bit like, what? Someone please do something new. But when you're writing a record and your creativity is like, gets to a point where it feels a bit unsure, you know that feeling? Like we all have that feeling. You feel a little unsure about like where you are in your record or where your record is. Then like taking stock and listening to some records that align to what you're trying to make. And again, we're not going to do it tonight. You guys have all heard me talk quite a lot about understanding, like, you know, the sort of labels you want to get on, the sort of DJs you want to play your music, there's little scene that you care about. It's not about like having to, oh, got to sound like someone else. It's about respecting the scene, respecting the other artists, respecting the record labels, like, you know, like respecting it all and loving it all and like wanting to kind of like fit into that kind of thing a bit, because what they do is incredible. You know, it's like there's no shade to that at all. It's a really good way to, it's a really healthy way to think about music. And just looking at reference tracks can give you a bit of insight of like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, like the style I'm trying to make, they typically would go more like this with their arrangement. Anyway, we're not going to do it tonight anyway, but I want to show you something. There's one other thing I want to show you that's going to run us over a little bit tonight, but there's one other thing I want to show you. And it's about how you use these rules to change this. So from where we are now, right, if we had, that could be an intro. You could arguably go like 32 bars in the bass line and the vocal come in, then it goes to breakdown with this sort of style. Couldn't you? Definitely. You could do that if you wanted, if you needed to make it longer. And then you could go drop this, then it's the non-vocal version twice, then an outro. That's 5.5 minutes. I mean, that's a fucking, whatever, that's a record nowadays. There's stuff on labels that I really like that's shorter than that. So you could arguably go, done it, mate. Now I just need to sit down and really produce it, right? But like, as far as like actually figuring out like a full arrangement goes, you could argue that that's kind of like it. That's kind of would do it. For me, what I would then play around with and what I want to show you guys is, my instincts tell me that looping the vocal up like this, then doing a little 8-bar, then going into a really long breakdown would kill a dance floor. That's my 6 cents on that. I don't think that would work. I don't think that would work. So what I want to do is try and work out how, like, maybe I'll go back to, maybe we could go 8 bars. Stick you over there a second. Go there a sec. We go 8 bars and then we'll go back to this. And this is the great thing. I don't need anything new. I don't need any new fucking ideas. I don't need any new hooks. I don't need a different version of the vocal. I don't need whatever. I don't need it right now. What I do need are like moments. Now the only rub of what I've done is we'll go 16 bars, 8 bars, 16 bars. You might have to have 8 here. Sorry, you might have to have 16 here times 2. It might feel weird. I don't want to make this a breakdown. I don't want to go like, oh yeah, we'll like go back to breakdown, then go back, you know, like, yeah. There are loads of records that are this sort of style that do stuff like that for sure, but I don't think it's right. I think it feels quite cool coming back down. This. Oh, that's so funny. In my small speakers, that just sounds like a high-pass thing. Huh. That's filtering down. So I quite like, just by proxy of doing stuff, that filtering down and back up maybe is enough to like be interesting. We could even go like really brave now. Brave. And oh, I even go without sample. Organizing my project. That's filtered down. I can hear you're filtered down. What's happened there? No? What? strange. I'm not going to toy with that because I think my headphones are playing games with me now. So technically, you could get rid of that lot. I'm not saying this is exactly how I'm going to do it, but this is how I problem solve. So I'm not making anything new. There's no new ideas. It's exactly the same thing as we had before, but this time I've gone, I'll do it without the drums in. And we could have said that about anything. You know, we haven't got the musical stuff in. In fact, we've saved this, haven't we? Have live stream, yeah. I'm going to delete this, well, just in case I want to come back. Live stream, 0.2. I just want to make things really visually clear. Let's get rid of that. So we've got this sort of almost like interlude here where the vocal stops, but then when the vocal comes back, it's more exciting. It's not just like, hey, everything's carrying on, vocal comes back in, there's this moment. Now for me though, the thing I start worrying about is the energy. We're dropping the energy quite a lot. In a loopy record, we've got 16, then 8, then the energy's going is a massive fucking question mark for me. It depends on how long the record is going to be, and honestly, just listening to the record and wondering. But just, you know, now we could go into a breakdown, perhaps. Let's see. Again, we'll move these automations on the fly. Obviously, we're going to filter those drums up, right? There's a fair bit of tension in that breakdown, the way that works, where there's a switch in like high passes and stuff that kind of just feel a bit, it's like old French house stuff. I quite like that, and I think the fact that the lyrics are "keep the fires burning" means like keep going, keep looping. So from here, like if you just cast your mind back to, we don't worry about intro, we don't worry about outro, whatever, right? It's just 16 bars chucked on the end here or there. It's really the central bit that matters. It doesn't. It's the rest, like the outside, the bookends of it, just like whatever. So what we've got to do at this point, what we've got to figure out, let's say in this state of mind where we're at creatively, is we really like this first breakdown. We're 80% there with the longer version of the breakdown. I think coming in with fresh ears tomorrow morning without these headphones on out of speakers, I'll probably make some choices. The big thing really is this creative choice we made. And it's around getting from 16 to 8 to a different 8, but 16, 16 into breakdown. Remember that was the problem before, right? I went 16, 8 breakdown. I was like, it's too fucking short. But really, because we take the drums out, is it really a solution? If we say the problem is 16, 8 breakdown is too short for this style of record, going 16, 8, low energy 8, essentially, breakdown, is that solving the problem? I mean, it's quite hypey because you get the vocal. Like, fucking, it's completely unoriginal. It's been done a billion times, but it worked really fucking well. But is that hypey enough to get into the breakdown? I think it all comes down to the transitions. I think this is like, if you solve, when you're working on music, if you can solve this section now, this record is piss easy to finish. All you do is you add a snare build on the second breakdown and some other edits and stuff. Like, you just, a couple of extra riser effects. There's no fucking effects. Look. There's like no risers or anything. Like, we could put a snare build in, but only use it on the main breakdown. Like, we could loop it up. Like, we're not doing anything. Like, we could loop this up. So it's like, keep the fire burning, 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 and like there's all kinds of mad stuff I've done on records over the years where that would all like go burning, feel like it's going to build up and drop, but it doesn't, and the actual original sample starts bubbling up underneath and then like restarts rebuilding again. There's all this kind of stuff. I want to do another live stream on that, to be fair, because there's I think there's stuff we can do in this record that can just push it a bit more modern. But tonight's about solving problems and arranging music. So there's options. Creatively speaking, there should always be options in your mind if you're a creative person, right? That's what we do. All we need to solve in this session, for me, right? If I was sat here on my own, this is genuinely just what I'd be thinking, is this question mark. For me, tick on drop. Yeah, on the edit. Tick-ish. I'm not sure about this stuff, but yeah. Into the vocal going, I like. 8 bars without the vocal, like. Any longer than that, 2026. So then switch into vocal kicks back in, but drums are gone. That's quite hypey, actually. Do you know what I mean? There's a vibe to that, right? Give me a little reverse vocal, like, with a little drum fill or something. It'll probably be pretty vibey, right? I reckon that's quite good. But it's this transition then. So as I said, it's all about the transitions. The transition into the drop I really like. I like this whole sort of feeling that it gives. You know, resolves, cool. Resolves, vocal goes, that's all cool. Yeah, the transition needs work, but the fact that it's the way the vocal just hammers back in, doesn't filter up, there's no like softly stuff, it's just vocal, drums gone, vocal in. There's a vibe to that, right? And we're still following the bass line. This transition, however, is absolutely shit. Let's just check it out. The fire's burning. The fire's burning. There's a genuine cricket there, isn't there? Is there a genuine cricket? Is entered Ableton just to sort of piss me off a little bit? The fire's burning. The fire's burning. Yeah, there's a genuine cricket has shown up there just to fuck with me. There'll be a lot of fiddling around with this breakdown with like the filter movements on the drums versus the filter movement on the vocals, which doesn't work right now. I don't care about any of that right now. That's fine. It's this transition. And the reason being is because the transition doesn't have to be about automations. Right now it is about automations because the drums are filtered down, the vocals filtered down, the high pass kick comes in, all the musical stuff is filtered. That's not working. And the reason being, it's not the reason being actually, this one works. So what I want to do is I want to listen to how I did this one to make me understand what I should do on the first half. Granted, the one that works is the second half, right? So. It was staring me right in the face the entire time. I expect some people who watch this will be shouting at the screen, Ben, it's the fucking laser sound, dude. It's not there. That would be one of the reasons. I actually don't like that transition. I don't have to right now, do you know what I mean? This is like a work in process. But this transition here is not great either. There needs to be, which is interesting. So the transition into both breakdowns I don't like. So there's something there that actually needs to be resolved within this song. That, again, with rules and everything in mind, that's not... when I say stuff like that, or when I think things like that, that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing to realize. It's not like, oh, fuck. It's like, oh, no, great. I've actually realized something. I've realized that there needs to be something really cool to get us into both breakdowns. There needs to be like, look, it honestly could just be a specific effect sound. We'll go like to Splice and just go for all the disco effect samples, just to find something that really gives that sort of vibe that kind of feels at the beginning of a breakdown. You'd be surprised at just like what one effect sample will do for that kind of transition. Even just like putting a reverse cymbal and having delay on it can be the difference between it working and not working, to be completely honest with you. So that I'm not stressed about. It's just something I now know, like, oh yeah, there's this thing that will make this record feel more professional, more finished, more complete, would be the transition into the breakdown for sure. But again, that's like penciling in stuff or like detailing stuff, and I'm not there yet, man, with this sort of sketching and arrangement. But it is to do with how that crosses over, because once we're in, the drums are there, but we can't go drum to there. So the only difference is the drums are there, the groove's there, and it's not here, but we can't just whack the groove back in. I think that would sound shit. Well, I've been wrong many times. Let's literally straight up duplicate like the actual beginning, so it's exactly the same. Creatively, my brain's gone, but Ben. But Ben. I'm just going to copy the vocal down to a separate channel so I can do this separately. And then you are going to most likely filter up underneath. The vocal's going to go away, but burning is going to loop over. If I'm anyone out there in the world watching this at some point in time, if I made a record that goes burning, 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 because it feels very familiar. I'm not gonna lie, I actually don't know, and it feels really familiar. It's really odd. Now this isn't going to be like, oh, I'm going to like hype up into a build. It's going to fade away. I don't like it instantly, I'll be honest with you, but I think it's like at least maybe only kick high pass. Yeah, I agree. It's something to do with this transition. I honestly think like this is what we need to solve, is solving this transition. If you can work out like how to go from like that switch in the groove to the drums being gone, but the main hypey stuff is there, like the vocal, and then you've got to switch to that not being there. What the fuck is going to replace it? That's the kind of thing to figure out, isn't it? Oh, I think I've just sussed it. I don't mind the burning looping over, but it's a bit fucking obvious. I want to flip to the music. There's somewhere over here. The way it goes into this. Where it's like the high pass stuff. I'm going to borrow that automation line for here. And it's because the drums are gone as well, isn't it? There's something about that. What the fuck is going on? Let's just check the automation lines. Why did I do that? Why did the bass line suddenly come in? What Everyone here has made a fucking record with buttoning looping up in it. Does anyone remember the one that I did from back in the day? I'm not. Oh, I don't know if I should say this out loud in case. Like this, that vocal saying "burning on loop" feels so familiar to me. Like I've been here before, perhaps, perchance, but maybe. I don't know. It feels very familiar. Oh yes. Do you know what? I'm actually full of shit sometimes. I don't have a high pass kick channel. I originally did, but I turned it off because I'm using the high pass kick from the sample, which tonight I've LFO'd out, didn't I? And I need to turn that off. That's what's happening. It's interesting how your brain is working things out without you even realizing it's working it out. That's got to stay like that. Where is that happening? It's you. No. What the fuck? Guys, am I being really stupid? Why does the low end come back in there? Genuinely confused. Have I got like... Do you reckon it's... Is it? It's not that though, is it? That's the vocal. That's that. That's that drum like fill on the old record, but I've kept it. There's no bass line. Oh, it's only this, right? It's just this. Is it the LFO? No, because it goes off. Oh, sorry, that's so dumb. It's that tiny little movement on that. Well, look, if we've all released a record with burning looping on it, right? I don't want to feel left out in 2026. One of my favorite things of all time for the Ben Remember thing that I've always done for all time is I'll make a build up out of a vocal, duplicate vocal, and then I'm going to bring in the original. I don't think I'll be able to do it tonight, as in even if we had all the time in the world on the stream creatively, I don't think I'll get there. That's going to come back up. That's going to go into there. That's going to filter away. So basically, it kind of like goes into burning, 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 but like the original one comes up underneath. And I wonder about it having that cool bit crush sound, which I've kind of like disregarded a little bit tonight. I feel like I've kind of like just pushed that to one side. I need to rethink. Double, double, double duplicate. And I'm just going to put the build up burning on a separate channel. And in fact, did I already do that? Yeah, I'll do them on separate channels though. And it's just because I want to let that bleed over with a side chain that's going to come on afterwards. Side chain, basically that, mate, yeah. And it's going to turn on the drop after the reverb from the Endless Smile is going to continue. It's going to be like with the pumping, right? And also that needs to be turned down, as always with this sort of stuff. When I'm making a build up and things get too loud, yes, just turning it down utility is typically, and you end up doing a bit of it. But high passing, I am using Endless Smile, which has a high pass baked into this one dial. So I'm not sure if it is the answer, but high passing away is a really good way of making things feel like they thin out and disappear without them turning down, because turning down basically reduces energy. You know what I'm saying? It kind of works. Frozen 4, how's it going? Cool name, by the way. Cool Whip. We're going to turn that down very slowly because it does get a bit, you know. And on it goes. So we're beginning to figure out a couple of variations to the rule. So the rule, like if you come back to like where we were about an hour ago when we were starting to arrange this record, we set about like setting some cornerstones, right? Some rules that allow us to understand how to arrange a song from nothing. One of the main rules is we are not afraid to just be boringly loopy. Is a part of the charm of this record. In fact, if you kind of try and break that loopiness by trying to like, oh, on this bit, the vocal's going to be different, you actually lose a lot of the magic. But then we realized, yes, Ben, but you can't do that the entire record. So at a certain point, you've got to take the vocal out. And at a certain point, when you bring the vocal back in, maybe you need to do something more dramatic, right? Like taking the musical stuff away, taking the drums away. That takes us into the breakdown. We've very roughly, like this will definitely change by the time you guys next hear it. But we figured out quite a cool intro to the breakdown. I quite like that flip into the high pass and the sort of feeling that gives. Then we go into a build-up section. We could even start this whole loopy thing with the burning whole 8 bars earlier and just make a whole 16-bar build feel out of it. I mean, whatever, right? It's a fucking... You just got to click and move around, like Control-D it around a little bit. It's like no hardship at all. It's just about listening to that with fresh ears and kind of going, yep, it needs to be longer, it needs to be shorter. That gives us a cool moment, though, right? And I do think in a full arrangement on a record like this, I personally, I know a lot, there's 2 types of records. Some records will not. They will purposely not do anything new. It's just about that loop. It's just about giving that loop and giving that energy at the right amount. Then give that loop. That's it. It doesn't. If you try and over-engineer it, you try and be too clever, you try to be too like creative, it kind of breaks the coolness of it. The other side of it is to give a record that a moment, an elevator, that water cooler moment, that thing on a dance floor that makes you really lock into that specific record. And build-ups are a great place to do that. So like, you know, again, looping up the last word of the hook being burning. Not exactly original, but it does give the record something that makes you kind of feel that build up that tiny little bit more, right? It kind of it essentially sort of gives a new rule, like a new way of looking at that specific part of the record. So from there we can very easily, like we showed before this sketch, you know, you can put an outro on it, you can put an intro on it, you can make the intro longer, you can get yourself to about 5.5 minutes with zero talent or effort needed at all on the intro outro. It's still, for me, massively about figuring out, I guess, 3 areas. Getting into this first breakdown, which kind of like speaks to this problem, getting into the second breakdown. The reason they're different is because the setup obviously is different in what we're doing. We have no drums. We go into vocal unfiltered. Here, it's all about filtering up into that first breakdown. It's the intro, so it's different. But it's about recognizing that, like, this rule and this rule, and then this rule for the drop and this rule for this drop, and then how long that goes on for and how long this goes on for, becomes how a listener understands your record. It becomes like whether or not an A&R hears your record and like goes, yeah, this makes sense. This is the sort of thing we sign. This is the sort of thing we love. So to wrap up, because we've been here nearly 2.5 hours now, what I want to do is just give this one listen through, tidy up any little bits and pieces. Be real, I don't think you'll feel this. This is the main area that's a sticking point for me. This transition, because really, if this doesn't work, if that transition into the groove going doesn't work, this whole thing needs to be rethought. Like, you have to rethink that whole section of the entire record. So I need the context of listening to it through, like listening to it on loop and like, oh, over and over and over again, just this transition isn't going to help me. I'm going to listen to it through from about here to about here, and then we're going to kind of summarize and wrap up, figure out where we are, what else we need to do. Yeah, 100%. I mean, it just proves my point. The thing that doesn't feel quite right is the flow between the core idea works. the core idea on the drop works. It's how you get out of that core idea and into a secondary version in a way that's strong enough is what's not working. And this is, for me, is what I give people advice on all day long. It's the main thing that most people get wrong, including me. We're all human. Is getting from the main idea into a version of the record that isn't the main idea but doesn't change it. You don't need something different. You can't break the idea, but in a way that remains interesting. That then sets up the breakdown in a better way. I think this breakdown can be shorter. I do wonder about this record having like shorter breakdowns, because I quite like, there's sort of something about it, this, where once it gets to here, that thing we were doing, I'm like, all right, maybe that's just the beginning of the breakdown. And then this loopy thing is actually from here. So you only get 8 bars of the hook, so to speak. Then you go into loopy mode for 16, so the build's longer. So the setup's shorter, then the build is longer, then you drop. And then maybe, like, if you're like, oh shit, my record feels a bit too short, you just put like another little breakdown on the end, right? Just to build up and go to the outro. Like, but it's about figuring out this section still. This is, for me, what, as a music producer, I would pour my next session into. Like, I'll sketch an arrangement out like this. We'll go from a rough idea to a finished, like, arrangement in a sense, right? Again, like, intros and outros are like fucking whatever, just copy and paste the drums around. It's about figuring this crossover. How do you hand over from the main hook to just a groove section, and how does that set up the breakdown? That then really determines the kind of energy you've got in your breakdown and build. And at the moment, whilst I like this as our first attempt, this doesn't feel right. I mean, it's fucking not even any editing on the drums, guys. Do you know what I mean? Like, we should probably give ourselves some kind of fighting chance on this. I suppose we could actually do it in a fairly simple kind of way, where we could go right on. So it's this 8 bars. We'll copy this 8 bars then. We'll stick to the rules of the arrangement. So, taking our automations with us. Even doing that sounds better. And we could even take this pitch thing and do something cool with this. Like, maybe it comes in. But I like solo this or is it? Utility, take the utility off. Filter, take the filter off. So you could like try and make a big point out of this being like the zap goes up and then down for that. So you could go, okay, like that or something. Like make a bigger deal out of it. So even doing that little bit of work there with the little edit on the drums and just figuring out little details, like maybe we'll use the zappy sound as like a supporting character as it runs right the way through the record anyway, makes a massive change to what I think. Like, I now don't want this loopy burning vocal. I think it now sounds better, just like you're more focused on like you're following the journey of the zap sound more now. Always just mute things to check, you know what I mean? funny, isn't it? Like, even just that little bit of work there right at the end of this session, I think firms up a little bit more about what I was trying to do there. Just the smallest little details can go a really long way at making this feel a little bit more complete. Like the journey feels like it's there a bit more. To be real, man, like the best thing I can possibly do as a music producer now is to take an ear break, go away, maybe export this as an MP3. So when I come in tomorrow, I'm not listening to the project. I'm just listening to the MP3. I think that's actually a really important thing to do sometimes. If you just come in and open Ableton and like go into that sort of place where you're like, right, straight back to where I was last night, like straight into Ableton, straight just sort of like, your brain kind of goes back to where it was and you just start fiddling around in the same kind of way. I really like, I've got a whole folder where I export things as I work on them as MP3. So then when I come back, I open up the MP3. So I'm not in Ableton. I'm not in this environment. Like I'll listen to it on different speakers. I've got lots of different speakers and different headphones and stuff. Like I'll recalibrate and kind of come at it from a different angle to make sure that these things are important. Because if you think about everything that I've been banging on about now for the last hour, if you can summarize it, it's just about how the flow feels. Like, how does the record play out to a listener? What is that journey like? The hook's there. The job of a music producer is to like get that to translate to another person in a way. The biggest mistake we make is we try too hard, don't we? We try too hard to create a moment, to do this, to do that. Oh, I want it to go like this. I want it to go like that. It's going to go here. It's going to go there. I'm going to do this clever thing. And very, very often that's not really what a listener wants. They just want a moment that really, really works for them. They want to just feel, they just want that hook on loop a lot of the time. And you just need to give it to them in the right way. And that's really hard to do when you're sat and you know, like we've done tonight, we've been here for 2.5 hours. It's a long time, isn't it? To have a pair of headphones on, just be, you know, working on music. It's quite a long time. You do lose. Remember what we were talking about at the very, very beginning of this session is you trade objectivity for creativity. We've just had loads of creativity, loads of fun with that. But I've traded my own objectivity. I've hit a wall of knowing what right and wrong is now. Tomorrow morning, it will jump out to me very, very quickly because I'll be back. I'll be refreshed. I'll be back in that space. So yeah, for me, that's what it's all really about tonight, is about taking a rough idea, kind of finessing that idea and figuring it out. Good work on like figuring the bassline and everything out. I think that's solid work. I do want to come back in tomorrow with a fresh brain and just like calibrate against what it sounded like as just like the original sample. We pretty much like rebuilt the sample in many ways right now. Vocal separated, completely different key now, like sounds very different to how it originally sounded. Completely new bass line with a sub bass underneath it, made with MIDI. It's funny actually, one of the bits I don't like is the actual original music stuff now. There's a part of me that's like, I don't think that sounds that good now in comparison, but that's a different story for another day. I think we're there. I'm looking at it and I've got ideas, but I think I need to stop. Otherwise I'll just carve it up and carve it up and carve it up and I'll never really fix it. Do you know what I mean? Awesome stuff. Right, it was a pleasure doing this tonight, guys. I want to do these, you know, I say this at the end of every live stream, I want to do these more often. We're doing them every week. We've been doing this is the 6th one, so we've been doing it over a month now, every single week. Keep an eye on my socials for when the next one's going to be. If you're watching this as a recording rather than being here live, hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well, guys. Any of you that are here that aren't subscribed, it makes a massive difference. It's such a small thing, but to build like a small channel, like from YouTube, I'm just brand new to YouTube. So like building a channel on YouTube it's a fucking uphill climb these days. So look, these little things like liking the video, it just helps the algorithm like go, oh, maybe I will push it out to a couple other people. Do you know what I mean? All it takes is liking it and subscribing and dropping a comment. It makes a massive difference to people like me that are just trying to do this as a thing, right? So I appreciate any help in that regard. Outside of that, it's been an absolute pleasure tonight. Love you all as always. Bunch of friendly faces on the chat tonight. Great to see you. It's really, really good fun. I'll loop back round on this. Keep an eye on my socials. Anyone that's like here watching this and you're like, kind of wouldn't mind knowing where this goes, I'll definitely do a video or two on my stories over the next week and on my reels and stuff about where this goes. Right, so awesome. Right, I look forward to catching up with everyone on the next one. I shall see you then.